Good evening, everyone. We're back for a second night in a row. Tonight we are chatting with the guys from Loch Spirits, another local distillery to us in Aberdeenshire. They're over in Aboyne.
They're about, what, 16
miles from us.
Miles?
Part of Royal Deeside over there, so beautiful part of the country. We're a bit biased, but yeah, if you're planning your gin journeys post-lockdown, definitely comes highly recommended. They've got their gin school over there, among other things. So, oh, there they are. They came in briefly there. Are you there, guys?
We're here, yes.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Apologies. I think I put up it was only going to be Peter tonight, but Rich, you're there as well. So
I'd make a guest appearance.
He's just learning technology and stuff. Rich, like so.
We did one of these the other week, and it was just supposed to be Pete as well, but my suspicion was getting the better of me, so I came and joined in.
Quite right. Well, it's good to see you both. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, what are you drinking there?
I'm drinking an Inu and Tonic. Since we're talking about gin tonight, it's yeah.
Absolutely.
Drink what you're speaking about. That's the way. Like
definitely, no, quite right. So I guess for those that haven't met you guys before or don't know a bit about the people behind Loch Spirits, can you tell us what kind of inspired you guys to set up the business?
We've always had an interest in drinking spirits. Like I've always had an interest in making different concoctions. So I used to make a product in my shed called Harouche, which is a whiskey, honey and bramble liqueur. And basically that started kind of 2015. Realised there was a real kind of demand for the craft spirits, craft liqueurs, things like this. So that did really well. Kind of got speaking to Rich over pints one night, and we decided to kind of enter the spirits market. So we needed a bigger premises to start distilling, more equipment. Yeah. So we kind of spent about sort of 8 months building the distillery.
It would be really nice to say that we had a really decisive strategy and why we did it and how, but really we just got drunk one night and there was very much not much more to it than one day saying, yeah, let's go and do it.
Well, at least you've seen it through. It wasn't just a pipe dream. So.
And the thing is, there's so many fantastic ideas and businesses start at the pub over a pint of beer or a G&T.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting market. You know what I mean? It's just everything that goes with it, the history of it. Its current form. It's an interesting place to be, and I personally enjoy it. I think it's fun. Which is you've got to for any kind of when it's your own business.
Yeah.
That's always half the battle, is it? It's sort of you can find a balance between something that can cover the bills and pay the mortgage, but something that you think, right, I'm going into work today. Okay, I'm looking forward to it for a change.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it covered the bill and paid the mortgage. Yeah.
Well, so did you guys meet through the day job, or what? How did you two come to know each other?
Through our wives and kids.
Yeah, through wives and kids.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Was it antenatal classes or was it?
Post-antenatal class, like.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, talking of kids, here's one of ours at the door. Sorry.
Gotta love it, like.
Happened last night as well. We're on a roll. She's just she knows she wants to make a cameo. That's what it is.
She knows now that you're doing something important, that you're on video, like.
Exactly.
That's every night. You have to change your time to throw her. That's
yeah. Midnight at this rate. But so I know you obviously talked about Inu briefly there. That's your signature gin, if you like. That's what you launched with, wasn't it? So, but can you tell us a bit more about the newly released singular series range of spirits?
Yeah, so I mean the singular series is what we're always doing here. We do a lot of contract distilling as well, so we're always experimenting. We're always playing around. I love reading about the industry. I love trying to find old books about liqueurs and spirits. So the singular series was really launched to kind of encompass all that in essence of real kind of stuff that we've played about within the distillery, which we may not want to launch as a full product, but something we may just want to launch limited releases of.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how the singular series was founded. The first one was the barrel aged absinthe. So that was, we had absinthe sitting in a cask. We really wanted to get that launched. So that was the first product. That was followed up by the Roccolino, which was we took our gin and then we infused rocket leaves, lemon peel, orange peel and cloves. and that's a really distinctive drink. I think you've tried it, have you, Natalie? The Roccolino?
I haven't yet, sorry.
No, okay.
Old Italian drink.
It does sound amazing though. I've not actually tried Roccolino, as I know it's in a herbal liqueur, isn't it, from Italy? I've not tried that either, so I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get that many. There's not that many. I've only ever seen bottles on the internet of Roccolino.
Yeah.
It's kind of based loosely on the original, the way they produce it. It was originally made with like a grape spirit, but because we sit in a lot of gin, we got to kind of make it with a gin. So we use gin. We also bottled it at probably a much higher ABV to pair it with. So we've bottled nearly 60% ABV, and it's that was kind of where we found it, which was the nice point. And it also had to do with the louche. So as we were kind of diluting it down, after it kind of went below about 58, you start to get it came out of suspension. What's it called?
There's a lushing effect. There's something called chlorophyll, which is the green component of any green plant. So it's the chlorophyll which gives the absinthe the same colour.
Okay.
So there was a lot of that in Rocket.
Yeah.
So when you start diluting it, those kind of components start coming out of suspension.
I must admit the high ABV really does have me intrigued. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, I'm sure Martin will open it sooner or later.
I'm sure he will. Well, do you know what? Did we not get a sneak peek of the absinthe at the Scottish Gin Awards last year? In fact, we took the bottle home.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So that had been in. So Scottish Gin Awards, was it last year? I think it was
2018. I think you're right. Yeah.
So it had only been in for about 6 months then. So by the time we took it out, it was nearly 2 years it had been in for. So it's a massive change in the spirit. So it turned out, I mean, it's amazing what it took from the cask, the absinthe. It was just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we may do another cask aged absinthe, we'll see. But we do have an absinthe cask now, so we're wondering what we can do with it. I don't know if it would take to a gin, but maybe a whiskey. Maybe a whiskey in it. We'll see.
That's it. That sounds amazing.
And obviously, you guys have invested a lot of your time and sort of resources and finances in creating your gin school, which opened last year. So can you tell us a bit more about what people can expect if they're attending a class or visiting?
To get drunk. No, I'm joking. No, it's so what it is, it's basically it's a 6-hour experience we offer. So for the Spirit School, so we've got 6 small stills, 10-litre stills, and the idea is people come in. Basically, we give them a welcome drink. We've got 100 different botanicals to choose from. We talk people through what works well together, the different ratios, the history of gin, and then we kind of set them loose so they get to design their own recipes. We're always around to answer questions, make sure they're kind of sticking within. You want people to walk away with something that tastes good at the end of the day. So basically, once they've got the recipes, we get them to weigh out everything. Then they basically add the alcohol, the water into the still, and they distill everyone distills their own product. Cool. They then take it off, bottle it, and then they get to design their own label. So by this time in the afternoon, it gets quite funny, So I think the best one we had is it's not after 9 o'clock yet, but the best one we had was one of the first Spirit schools, and there was a I wasn't here, but it was Rich who did it, and there was a lady who was really enjoying herself. I said, "What are you going to call your gin?" And she said, "I'm going to call my gin Shit-Faced Fanny." So that was one of our first. That was one of the first. Solely named products.
So she set the bar quite low, basically.
Or high.
Yeah.
That was a pretty fun day. We're actually stood at the bar now where the gin school is, where we can do a little bit of a pan around. So you can fumble around it. Don't know where it'll quite convey.
Yeah. Well, we've shown some photos as well, the glossy photos. So hopefully that gives the guys watching an idea of what they can expect. So
much better than any camera.
And obviously people can distill a gin, or they can also distill other spirits as well, can they?
We do, we don't restrict it to gin in the slightest. So, you can maybe do a botanical rum, you could do an absinthe, we've been able to really condense the process of making an absinthe. Normally it takes a lot longer, but we can condense that into a 6-hour period. So just using some hot macerations and things like that. So it's not just a gin. Most people want to make a gin. We've had a few absinthe, but most people go for gin, definitely.
Yeah.
But it is, it's meant to be a half educational, or I should say maybe 30% educational, 70% fun. The day, that's it. And it is, because we've got the bar license here as well, so the drinks flow all day as well. It's a really good day out. Everyone who comes has really enjoyed it so far.
Fantastic.
And we also do the tours.
Okay, yep.
So we started them at the same time. So we run the two. We were before lockdown running the tours every Fridays and every second Saturday, and that we started off doing it was just 45 minutes for a tour, and then we kind of realised that people like to sit and chat and have a drink, so we decided to extend it to 2 hours for a tour. And what a difference it makes! People come in. It's not a massive facility we got. It takes maybe 30 minutes to go around, and it's real hands-on. People get to sniff the tanks, touch the botanicals, really get a feel for it.
It's much nicer for them to just come and sit and have a taste. Come and have a taste and a natter, get to know each other, and try all the products.
And then have a drink, and they're more inclined to buy a bottle on the way out.
I think so. Never that way.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously, you guys, it is a working distillery. It's not as though you've created a visitor's experience, then bolted the distillery side onto what you do. You are a genuine working distillery first and foremost, with this addition of this fantastic gin school plus your tours. So
completely, and it was always, as we were only production for a long time, and it wasn't until we kind of, as we grew, we took on more and more space within the warehouse, and kind of segregated a section to have as like a customer focused area, and it's worked really well. We're a rural location, so it can be quite difficult to get on site sometimes. That's maybe the only downfall, but at the same time, it's most people get taxis or lifts and things, and it works well.
The kind of ethos behind it is really just to show the nuts and bolts of an everyday working facility. You go to a lot of these places, there's some fantastic venues, but quite often things may be a little bit contrived, a bit polished. They don't show you the things going on behind the scenes, and the opportunity for us is actually just to come in and have a chat, and you see it all, warts and all, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you guys are exceptionally busy because you're making spirits for yourselves, but you make a few spirits for other people as well. So production must be quite full on.
It is. We're probably running sort of once or twice a week still at the moment, so, and that's been through lockdown as well, which has been good. So we've managed to kind of maintain production. Yeah. And we're kind of growing the contract side of the business. We've found there's been a lot of interest during the lockdown period. I think a lot of folk maybe sitting at home deciding they want to do something else, which has been fantastic. We're seeing a bit of a slip away from gin into rum, which is quite interesting, So it's some new kind of interesting kind of rum categories like botanical rums and things like this. So that's quite, that's an interesting. We're still seeing gin still coming through. So we're producing on site now. I think we're producing
14 or something.
14 products on site now. So
we opened up just a couple of weekends ago, was it? And we've been closed for a while, and we opened up. It was quite interesting when we put all the singular series and all the contract products together. There's quite a pretty diverse array of products.
Yeah.
But I guess the contract side of things maybe gives you an opportunity to grow and develop as a distiller as well, and it gives you an opportunity to develop new ideas probably a lot quicker than perhaps some people are maybe only focused on making maybe one or two products, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we probably do kind of 1 day's R&D work a week. That's kind of, so there's 1 day in the distillery is between juggling kids at the moment, which is always interesting. So we pretty much got 1 day which is R&D work, so we're always kind of creating, whether it's for us or for somebody else. There's always ideas, trials. You're learning about different botanicals, what things do all the time, how they interact with other botanicals. So the knowledge certainly increases as time goes on because you are doing the R&D work aside, and it's gin's becoming easier to make, I think, for myself anyway, because you really have an understanding of how botanicals work together, So it's, I won't give away any secrets.
No, of course. But I get that. I mean, I know, for example, we know Fred Alexander's, we just mentioned him briefly earlier, and he makes his stuff with you guys, and it's amazing. But it maybe says more about him, but as opposed to you. But he said it took like a year for him to be like completely and utterly he wanted it to be so perfect, and it is a very good gin, mind you. But I guess that's probably quite unusual now if you were making a new gin to take that length of time. But maybe it depends on your client. I don't know.
Depends on your client.
We obviously can't name names, but I mentioned before that I was weighing out some damson extract for a contract this Saturday, and those guys have been Yeah, they've been at it for 18 months or
Oh
so
wow,
now.
right, okay. Oh well, spoke too soon.
It's not just like continuous R&D. I think a lot of that is a bit of trepidation as well. They've got to the point to press a button, and fingers crossed all will go well on Saturday. A lot of the customers, some guys come in and they realise a product within a matter of months, a couple of weeks even, and others certainly take a bit more time.
And so I guess leading on to this question quite nicely then, so what are some of the biggest challenges you found in creating a good gin?
I think it's managing expectations, and you can find that often people go in, they just go in circles. So it's like you can have a very good gin, and a very good recipe that works, but sometimes people always want to change it, to the point where you're just like, don't change it, and that can be difficult. Do you know what I mean? It's like you know it's a good gin because we drink a lot of gin, and then they're like, oh, I don't know, so you change it again, it changes, and it can often be
and then you're kind of we've heard that so many times as well, even from distillers that just make their own products as well, that maybe they've done so many iterations and they've ended up back at like the start or one of the very first ones.
Well, one thing we've seen in particular when we first started out, when we were developing ENU, that took a long time because it wasn't just recipe, it was equipment, getting to know the kit and learning the whole process. But you end up with this paralysis by analysis, and you're trying to please everyone, and you do tastings and such like, but sometimes you've got to just have conviction and say, this is what we're going with, and it is what it is, and it will please some people and others perhaps not.
And obviously in your ENU gin, I believe one of the botanicals you use is the locally sourced honey from Eastside. So I guess I'm quite intrigued to figure out how you came to the conclusion and development of using honey in your gin.
Well, it actually came from that we had a load, because we were making Harouche, which is full of local honey. So we had a load of honey sitting about, and I was like, let's put some honey in the still, and it's funny. Like a lot of people say you don't get anything from the honey, but I've picked it up coming off. I can find it coming off the still, and it's.
Pete's like a bear. He's got a sweet tooth, and honey finds its way into everything. Permeates everything we do. And I found always grumbling in the background, this bloody honey's appearing again. And I used to be quite sort of adamant that it didn't make any difference, because you look at the science, you can't distill sugar, but there's a fragrance of pollen in it. There is a very subtle scent that you get from it. So I kind of. I'm not quite there, but I've kind of come around to the idea.
and that local honey is good. Is it the bee cabin or something, or is it like?
No. It's a guy called Ian Smith who lives in a Boyne, and Ian's got about 130 hives, and Ian's like a 6th generation beekeeper, and he's got the hives all up D-side. So he's, cool. I mean, the honey's a real kind of mixture of is it clover, willow herb, and heather. So a really distinctive honey,
very strong.
Yeah, and it helps with your hay fever as well, which is fantastic. I start sneezing and I start drinking. And that's nothing to do with the juniper berry I got stuck in my sinus tonight.
So, what are the long-term plans for Lost Loch Spirits then?
I think I think our long-term goal is definitely whiskey. That's where we want to be. We're pretty much producing everything else now apart from whiskey. So I think it's the investment we need to bring in to do whiskey. It's a massive investment for plant and equipment, and it's basically going to be based on pretty much a 10-year plan. I think we're going to continue the contract side of the business. That's been really good to us, and I think we're starting to get we're starting to get a name for ourselves. Getting some really interesting products out there. We're producing for companies down south now as well. So we're producing for companies in Cornwall, one in Manchester. So it's good. So the name's kind of spreading. It's just to keep building the business, really. It's trying to get we're not exporting yet. It's something we've looked at every year, but and we probably haven't even really started penetrating the English market yet. We're pretty much
that's the main focus probably in the next 18 months. One of the things we found, just as part of any business's growing pains, we took on the contract stuff to kind of shield ourselves and keep us going. But it in all honesty, it detracted from our own product development. It slowed us down a bit. So we want to kind of just limit what we're doing. And as long as we can juggle the two and then keep moving, that was part of the reason why the Singular series was a simple way of potentially getting new products to market and trialing.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, we just need to get further south in the field, start exporting, and then hopefully the whiskey ideas will come with it.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I like about your singular series is the fact that you've obviously had a lot of fun doing it, and it's obviously a really creative,
like experimental kind of almost.
Yeah, small batch sort of crafted spirits. I mean, I guess I'm going off script maybe a wee bit here, but which was the most difficult one for you to make?
That's quite. They've probably all got their own difficulties. Like,
well, out of everything, in my view, Harouche is the biggest pain in the arse. Harouche is the biggest pain in the arse to make because it's full of honey and berries. So it's quite a laborious process.
Yeah,
the filtering and bottling and stuff, and the finishing and the bottle. But it's a very very niche product, and the finished article is great. But
it's a lovely bottle and it's a lovely product actually. So it's and it's very different. So, but no, who decided to make the gin just under 37.5%? Like, damn, we can't add that to the directory.
But this is. I'll probably not. I don't know who's listening, so I've got to be careful what I say.
Okay.
So you asked us before about what some of the biggest challenges are, and to be frank, it's not making gin. The biggest challenges are things like labels and things like getting the percentages right and not annoying your peers, and then keeping the bureaucrats on side. We sent that product off because it's got. It has sugars from the ginger, stem ginger in it. We can't measure it here. We need a fancy all singing dancing machine. So we send it off to a third party for testing. And it was a little bit of surprise when it came back low. And we thought, oh shit, we've got to change the label now. Can I call it a gin or not? But because it's got infusion on it.
Yeah. No, I wasn't doing that to catch out. I never even thought about the bureaucracy of that. I was just meaning, it's a shame that we can't add it to the directory. It's just one of those things.
I think maybe the next
be a bit stronger.
Once we bottle the next couple of hundred bottles, they'll probably be a wee bit stronger.
Right. Okay. Okay.
It's interesting. It's all about experimentation. And sometimes there's some variables, and that came in fact, we've had a couple of surprises, haven't we? But
that's good. That's what's good about the singular series, and it's limited, and it's once it's gone, I guess, and you go on to the next one, and that's such a good way to. And that's what people seem to be looking for these days as well, is it's like something new, something totally different and limited. It feels more special in some way.
Yeah, it is. It's nice just to be able to, to go right. Something new. It's only out for a little while, and it's really focused at our independence. And that's the big one. And it's. Because eventually, we're probably going to have to start going down the route of selling into larger retailers, and it's having product range there which still supports, which is only for the independents and still supports the independents.
Try and help us bridge that inevitable gap we're going to get when we go into the multiples. It's always a tricky one for sort of micro businesses. You're really conscious you want to nurture your relationship to the people that help you grow, but there comes a time when you've got to move on.
And scale up.
Because I know like Mike at the Inverurie Whisky Shops really supported you guys, and the Aberdeen Whisky Shop, and obviously your local bottle shop in Aboyne have sort of big supporters from day one. So I mean, I guess they must be really proud to have a distillery to call their own.
It is. I mean, I think if you look after your local market, and we've seen it just now, our local market's looked after us. You know what I mean? It's amazing. The amount we've put through kind of Inverurie, Aberdeen, and Strachan and stuff recently. During the lockdown, and it just shows. Because we've always tried to maintain a very good relationship with the local guys, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be your core market. Do you know what I mean? It's always your home market. It's always going to be the one which, when it all goes wrong everywhere else, like you can always come back in your home market, and that's where you'll always have a customer base, so you've got to keep the guys on side. Definitely.
Definitely. And I guess it's a question that people go it plays round and round all the time, but. What do you think makes a Scottish gin Scottish?
I know we need to stop asking this.
I'll leave the Scotsman to answer
He's
that.
away now.
Anyway, look, nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
I've got some bits and pieces
Yeah.
to.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Rich.
joining us, Rich.
Yeah.
Typical, isn't it? Leaves me with
Yeah, awkward question. I'm off.
Yeah, it's a difficult question, you know, and I think it's really, you know, until there's legislation in there and it's put in place, like I don't think it's for producers to say, you know, it's for legislation, and it's for the consumer to decide in a sense. But really, I mean, I think there has to be fundamentals. You know, I think you probably have to have a business in Scotland. Do you know what I mean? To be calling yourself a Scottish gin, you know, you have to be, you know, in a sense, you know, some of what your ingredients have to, you know, some of them I believe have to come from Scotland as well. Do you know what I mean? And you have to be supporting the local economy in a sense, like, you know. So it's to be a Scottish gin. And it's funny, you know, I think Scottish gin's getting a name for itself because a lot of the contracts we do for companies in England basically want to make a gin in Scotland so they can be a Scottish gin.
Yeah.
And does that open another set of problems then? Is that a Scottish gin, or do you know what I mean? So there's two sides to the coin.
It's a really interesting point. I mean, and actually not something that we came up against until maybe a year or so ago, where when we established what we defined to be on our directory, what was a Scottish gin, it was to be distilled in Scotland. But actually, because there was a number of gins then appearing that were, we distill in Scotland, and then we suss out, they're businesses in England.
Which, to be fair, most of them are open and honest about.
Well, in fact, I think 100% of them have been. You know, then we had to introduce that new bit to say, well, actually, I think, you know, the business should be based in Scotland as well. So it shows you the rate at which everything's
but
going.
like you said, Pete, I mean, I think it's given that information to the consumer and letting the consumer make a decision.
It's honesty. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. And I think if everybody's just honest, that's it. What we found in especially with gin, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely and I think it's always just a case of and it was one of the reasons why we were so keen to open the doors to people, to let them to come in, to see for themselves what it's all about and what we do, and what it is. And stuff does just sit in plastic tanks and things like that. You know, it's not all sort of barrels and things like this, you know, and it's to try and give it, and I think if everyone's honest, like there's not an issue. Do you know what I mean? And it's a bit, there is smoke and mirrors in the gin industry, but without a shadow of a doubt. And I think probably more so than anything else. You know, I think the rum industry is a bit like the Wild West, where, you know, nobody really knows what's going on. Like, you know, it's like you know, there's things like botanical rums, but there's no legislation dictating. Whereas whiskey is very closed down, and you know, gin still, you know, as in Scottish gin, still seems to be a bit wide open there. So, but I imagine there will be legislation eventually. You know, maybe when we come out of Europe, I'm sure we'll legislate it when it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And so obviously we've kind of ran through all the products that you have currently, but do you have are you working on anything else gin related that you can tell us about? Or
I mean, playing around with a lot of like hazelnuts and things just now. So probably looking at a lot of really old, especially we found some really interesting recipes from northern Spain of like nut kind of liqueurs. So we've been having a lot of play around with them recently, doing a lot of macerations in gin again, so which would probably form part of the singular series. So that's kind of something we've been playing. I really quite enjoy nut liqueur, so it's something that we've kind of been really playing with. So again, using the gin to kind of, and just having a play around. So that's something we'll probably see quite shortly is some nutty liqueurs.
That's very cool. I love the fact that you're actually kind of marrying different spirits, although it wouldn't technically be spirit, but you know, like the Roccolino and the nut liqueur, you know, it's like you're looking at other booze to kind of, can we marry this with the gin?
It is definitely. I mean, I think you've got to, you know, history's full of some amazing recipes, you know, and things like that. And there's some great old books which are kind of out of print. You occasionally find them. Do you know about world liqueurs, or you know, old drinks, and when you start looking at it, you can really, you know, you're not following the exact recipes, but really look into what was working, you know, 150, 200 years ago, and kind of bring it in the modern age. using different techniques and things to produce stuff. I think you can. There's some really interesting, stuff, and it shouldn't be boring. Do you know what I mean? It should be about, kind of being fun, making some interesting things. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I wanted to get into this, was because it's, it's creating. That's what it should be about.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's one of the beauties about what you guys do, is the fact, I think we've said this to other gin makers before and other spirits producers, the fact that, you've actually got a physical product there at the end of the day that you've created through development. And I guess sometimes some people come across things by accident. So I guess it's kind of unlike maybe a lot of other industries, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And there's something, it's one of the best feelings and it does kind of wear off as the more you do it. But, I always remember the first time I launched a product, and you see that product on a shop shelf, it's a really good feeling, Now we've done quite a few, and it's a bit like, but it's a fun industry to be in, and it seems to be still in big growth, and it's not just gin, it's everything else, spirits in general is massive growth just now, so it's non-alcoholics as well, something we've been playing around with, so that's another one. So we've kind of been doing a bit with a company down in London, so they've got a product coming out this year, which will be the first non-alcoholic offering out of the distillery. So that's quite
somebody's back for the cameo. Determined.
So that's basically a non-alcoholic gin. Well, it's based on a gin recipe, so that'll be quite interesting, and it's probably following on from there. But we may start to launch some more non-alcoholics this year as well. But it's endless what you can do. That's the beauty of it.
Well, it all sounds very exciting, and you guys have got a lot more of the singular series tucked up your sleeves, and something for us to look forward to. So just make sure you keep that ABV up next time, please.
I think it will be like I'll just ease Rich off in the hose,
That's it. Well, I feel like I'm. That was our last question, but I feel like I'm stuck now because I don't know what I'm doing with the controls.
Brilliant, Natalie. Brilliant. We'll just talk gin for a while longer.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So are you there to work tonight then? After
we
this?
are, yeah. So we're running a contract on Saturday. So it's a new gin which is coming online.
I think I know about that. I'm excited.
I think you may have spoken to the producers. So they're in on Saturday to do the run. So we're just kind of getting everything prepared for them on Saturday. So yeah.
And that's great.
So that'll be an interesting one. It's going to be a beautiful gin.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll get to sample it quite soon.
We have had a sample.
Oh, you have had a sample.
Sneaky preview. Very good. Very good.
Sneaky ones
That's it. But no, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to us. That was really, really interesting. And and
one thing I think I'll add as well, Pete, before we end, is the fact it's been really great for us to, we came to see you guys about 2 years ago. We've seen your distillery growing, so keep up the good work,
Yeah, and likewise to you guys, keep banging the drum.
Yeah.
Will do. No, but thanks. We'll let you back to the day job or the night job, I guess. But so we're being shouted on, so we'd better just end things. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks again, Pete. All the best.
Good night.
Guys.
Cheers.
Right, we'd better make it quick because we've got a child that is clearly needing more attention tonight. But no, that was really good fun. Good guys and good products. So we're back next Wednesday. We have got Dearness Distillery, Stuart and Adele, I believe,
the makers of Sea Glass Gin,
and other spirits.
Scuttle Gin as well.
Yeah. And then Emma and Neil from Kintyre, or Ben and Turk Distillers, makers of Kintyre Gin, on the Thursday. So another packed schedule. Stay tuned.
It's the joys of these live events, is it?
Exactly.
And you've got young kids as well. But no, it was great to catch up with Peter and Rich. So hopefully you've all managed to learn something tonight, and you'll maybe go out and check out some of their products. So thanks again for all your support. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Good night.